Hi and welcome to this tutorial about how to work with your stock photography with me, Linus Öhman, and I'm doing this for mostawesomephoto.info. It's a site about, well, most awesome photography, and so go check it out if you are interested in that. Anyway, today what we're going to do is look at how to manage your images and how to work with your files and photos once they're inside a computer. So let's get started. Number one, my advice to you is to always shoot RAW. Well, you might ask, why should I shoot RAW? It takes much more space. And well, basically that's the reason. Because this space is not just zeros and ones that doesn't mean anything. No, they're actually, the information in the file is greater than in a JPEG. A JPEG is always 8 bits and a NEF can be higher. Depending on your camera, you're probably able to shoot in 14 to 16 bits of depth. And that means that you can get more information and a higher dynamic range than with JPEG. So always shoot RAW. That is tip number one. Tip number two is pretty small one, but I'm trying to do this in like the way I think you should work. So start by always shooting RAW, putting it in the computer, and from there on rename your files to something that is remotely associable you know, with whatever you were doing. So in this case, embed works pretty good, and as you can see, I've already renamed it, but you can go to Tools, Batch Rename in Adobe Bridge. You can make as many fields you want, so you can get absolutely crazy complicated if you want to. I usually just take a bit of text and then a sequence number. In this case, I have so few images, I'll just go with 2 digits. I click rename, and voila, we have the files named and ready for step number 3. Step number 3 might feel a bit counterintuitive, but it's the absolute best way to work with stock photography. Trust me, you want to keyword your RAW files. You always want to keyword a file where in its beginning, so to speak, because it will be inherent into the next version. So if you save it as a JPEG, mind you, you never save JPEGs for stock photography through the save for web function in Adobe Photoshop. You always save it as, save as, and then you choose JPEG, and that way all the information will be saved. So start keywording your RAW files, and one smart way to do that is just mark the files that are similar in style. I would mark in this case, as it's just examples, I would mark these two and I give them generic keywords, and then I will go into them separately and give them if there were big differences. I mean, she's smiling here, she's smiling there, so there's no bigger difference. So these two I would keep pretty much the same. But what you want to do, you want to go for title, woman working in bed in this case, and you want to go for description and keywords. Those are the 3 places where you need to have meta information when you're supplying for stock. Do it on, I mean, if this would be a normal shot, I would have like 100 images like this, and I would mark them all and do that. So that way you will always know from that date, I mean, you will know that all the files that you have on your computer are already keyworded. Tip number 4, work with your RAW files. That's obvious, but I mean, really work with your RAW files. Do as much as possible in your RAW files. And I'm going to show you exactly why you should be doing that. In this case, I would be doing this like that, and I might actually have some more vibrance, something like that. And you see all this white here? Push the corner up here, you see there's too much white. Take a tool, just start painting away these blown highlights. And you might be saying right now, well, how do you do that? I shoot JPEGs, I can't do it. Well, stop shooting JPEGs. No, you should always shoot RAW. This is one of the advantages. There's actually image information in these blown areas, basically because Well, I'm shooting RAWs. Some JPEGs might have a small amount of information that looks like blown highlights, but not to the degree of RAW. So always shoot RAW. It's a huge time saver and it makes your images look better. So just do it. Here we go. It's not a huge difference, but now you can actually see there's a screen here and stuff like that. Looks good. Okay, I'm done. What you can do now is, you see, it's better, but it's also different now from this one. Well, what to do? It's like, say you had done this in Photoshop, the adjustments I just did. Well, then you would have to go in and do it in that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. All these files, you'd have to go in and do it manually. But if you do it as a development in out of camera RAW, well, there's a bonus for you. Let's see here. You go in here and you say, why will it not? I'm sorry for this. It's going to take some time to, here we go, for you to see it. Okay, here, develop settings, and you say copy settings. And you can mark the files that had, say that, I mean, that's not the case, but let's say all these files were the same lighting setup and basically the same camera angle, just different expressions. You would go to develop settings and paste settings. You get this huge list of stuff that you can say, yes, use this or don't use it. You usually don't want to have crop, spot removal and local adjustment because there will be differences in the image, or otherwise you're just working on that duplicates, which is just plain weird. So keep those off usually, keep the rest in and just click OK. And they will be adjusted in the same manner as the first one you did. I'm not saying that it's perfect, but I'm saying that it's a huge time saver to get your images consistent, close to each other, and making batches so much easier. So that's tip number 4. Work with your RAW files. Okay, tip number 5, keep it consistent. And that's just part of what I said there with the development. Try to keep things, I mean, don't have one image in the same series with 5,000 keywords and one with 2 keywords. I mean, try to keep them more or less consistent. The same with color and exposure. I mean, this one is, if I think this one is good, I need to have more exposure up here in this one, and so on. Just try to keep the images consistent. So that's my tip number 5, keep it consistent, because the users will go into your web and or to the stock agency, see your images and say, oh, I want one like that, but without the baby. And then if it's totally different, they're gonna be like, hey, that's not the same thing. I wanted the same kind of thing. So that's a good tip, and I see that sells pretty much. If you sell one, they might come back and take another one if they liked it. So keep it consistent. That's a good one. So just to recap, always shoot RAW, rename your files, keyword your RAW files, very important one. Work with your RAW files as much as possible, because then you can put the develop settings and stuff to a whole batch of things, and saves you a huge amount of time once you take it into Photoshop, or if it's actually good enough from there to just batch them out as JPEGs. And keep it consistent. Do as you want to, of course. It's a creative media. Be your best. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace out.